Welcome back to Jades Corner. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 10 Scott McCall roars, or at least my top 10 personal favorite roars from Scott McCall throughout the main Teen Wolf series. This will not include Teen Wolf the movie because there are no roars from Teen Wolf the movie in this video, so we're going to exclude that entirely. We're just going to be talking about the roars that Scott did in seasons 1 through season 6 of the original MTV Teen Wolf series. So at the number 10 spot, we have the roar from when Scott defended Gwen from the Wild Hunt in season 6, episode 4. This is one of my absolute favorite roars from Scott in the series. It's not one that's talked about enough. I think it's one that's extremely underrated.
Take Gwen!
At the number 9 spot is going to be the roar from when Scott breaks out of the Berserker mask. This roar is awesome. It's one of the most iconic roars, I would think, in the entire series, and the reason why it's so low is just I prefer other roars more than this one. This roar is still badass nonetheless. At the number 8 spot is going to be the roar from season 4, episode 1, when Scott breaks out of the chair that he is tied to with the chains that the Calavera family are torturing him with. Yeah, this roar is pretty fire. It's pretty important to the episode as well because the scene where Scott realizes that Kate Argent has been resurrected, and it's also the scene where he realizes that Kate is the she-wolf that the Calavera family are referring to. So yeah, this is also another good roar too. At the number 7 spot for me is going to be the roar from when Scott frees Styles from the Nogatsune's influence in season 3, episode 22. This roar is also another very well-known roar from Scott McCall. It's also another very iconic roar. And the reason why, again, it's this low is pretty much the same reason for why the Berserker roar, Scott breaks out of the mask, when he roars in that episode in season 4, episode 12 is so low, is because I prefer other roars more so than this one. It's just personal preference. So if you have this roar in your top 3, that's cool. I don't have an issue with that. But for me, I think this roar is just not one of my favorites for me personally. So at the number 6 spot is probably the most iconic, or the second most iconic roar in the whole series, and it's the roar from season 3, episode 14, from when Scott roars at Malia to revert her back into her human form. This roar is very iconic due to the fact that it is the roar that helped Isaac break through the bear trap or coyote trap that Malia's adopted father had set down in the woods that he got stuck in. And it's also the scene where Scott kind of meets Malia for the first time as well. They don't really speak, but he kind of looks at her when she reverts back to her human form. It's very iconic. It's very well known. Like, every Teen Wolf fan knows this roar is peak and it's one of the best, so nothing to really say more there.
That's what I'm talking about.
At the number 5 spot, we are now entering the top 5, is the roar from when Scott resurrects himself. Well, I don't want to say resurrects himself. Well, I mean, it's kind of him resurrecting himself, but he had a little bit of help from his mom, like pounding on his chest too. But he pretty much resurrects himself in season 5, episode 10, after being killed by Theo Rakin during the events of the supermoon in that episode. This roar can easily be top 3, but I prefer other roars over this one as well, kind of like the other roars we covered earlier in the video. But yeah, this roar is awesome. Goes to show that Scott is way more powerful than we could have previously thought, before this episode, since he literally resurrected himself from the dead. And it's been confirmed by Jeff Davis and other sources outside of the show that Scott did in fact die. I think it's mentioned in this episode too that he was dead for literally 15 minutes. So yeah, Scott was dead and he literally brought himself back to life, which is insane. So just for that, this roar gets extra points from me. At the number 4 spot is going to be Scott's victory roar from when he defeated the Wild Hunt and Garrett Douglas in season 6 episode 10. I feel like this roar is severely underappreciated. It's a very good roar, in fact, that he does, and it's one of the final like good ones we see from him in the series. We don't talk about season 6 part 2, but in terms of his best roars, this is one of the final good ones we ever got from Scott before the main show ended all those years ago. So yeah, this one is definitely my number 4 for sure. At the number 3 spot is going to be a roar I think a lot of fans know very well at this point, and that is when Scott roars at Zhang and Tierney in the police station during the events of season 6 episode 15. It's the roar where he like, show me, and then they show that their eyes have been changed to the blue color because they killed someone who was innocent. So yeah, this roar is very iconic now. A lot of fans know about this roar. I think a lot of fans would argue that this is also a top 5, if not top 3 roar from Scott in the whole series as well. It's just very badass. It shows that Scott can easily assert his dominance at any point in time without breaking a sweat, essentially. So yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite roars from Scott. Yeah, that's how I feel about it personally.
Open your eyes.
We never said we were innocent.
Show me.
At the number 2 spot is also another one of the most iconic roars from Scott McCall in the entirety of the show, and that is when Scott roars at the beast before fighting it in season 5 episode 18 in the library. This roar was awesome. It showed that Scott is not afraid to take on even the biggest of threats by himself if he needs to protect everybody and make sure nobody gets killed. He will, and it also showed me, at least in that episode, that he's not afraid of revealing to his other students that he's a werewolf if it means saving their life. So again, ties back in with an earlier video I did this week on the true power of True Alpha Scott McCall, where I kind of talked about his leadership and other qualities aside from just his raw power and strength that make him truly powerful. And this is one of the scenes that back up that video and all the points I made there for damn sure. So yeah, number 2 is definitely this roar for me personally. And at the number 1 spot is going to be, I would argue, the most iconic Scott McCall roar of all time. And this is the roar from season 4 episode 1. Again, I covered another roar earlier in this video, which is when he breaks from the chair when being interrogated by the Calaveras, but this happens later in that episode when he's with Braden in La Iglesia, when he enters the, I think, abandoned church over there, when he's trying to find Derek with her. This is when the Berserker is running at Scott, Braden, and then Scott roars and scares it off. This roar is iconic for many reasons. It shows just how powerful Scott truly is and how much he's holding himself back. It shows the potential that we later see at the end of the season during his fight with Peter. And it also shows that Scott is just a complete monster when he needs to be. So yeah, this roar is one of the best roars in the whole series from any character, but this is definitely, in my opinion, my favorite Scott McCall roar of all time. And that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think about the roars. Which one is your favorite roar from Scott McCall? Is your list completely different from mine? I know there's some people who have said in the past that some of his roars in season 1 are his favorites in season 2. I would love to know everybody's comments down below. I go through all the comments and any feedback is appreciated. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like as it helps this video perform better in the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider making today that day. I cover anything supernatural related, including television shows and movies, but I primarily cover MTV Teen Wolf. When you subscribe, don't forget to also hit that bell icon and set those notifications to all so that you never miss a future video. Recently, I opened up channel memberships as well, so if you want to further support my channel, consider becoming a member by hitting that join button. You get the special perks normal subscribers don't get, such as priority replies, exclusive members only streams and videos, and more. Also, if you aren't aware, my first novel, True Alpha, dropped back in June 2023. You can grab yourself a digital copy over on Amazon. There are no physical copies for the time being, so sorry for the inconvenience. To further support the series though, you can go visit the official True Alpha fandom site and the official True Alpha YouTube channel, both of which will be linked in the description down below and in the pinned comment. I release new chapters monthly on Patreon, and the series will be returning later this year in August with chapter 13. The second book is set to release next year in April 2025. But until next time, this is Jades Corner signing off. Peace.